What's up, guys? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another video on the channel. And no intro for today. This is picking up from last video where we played the tournament. Same day, same kind of session you would call it, but hopped into a game. I saw a player with a really big stack, about 1,500 in front of the 1-3 tables, so figured why not take a crack at it and hop onto that table, so didn't record an intro. But anyways, we'll go straight into the hands. Don't have to bore you with anything else, so let's get into them. The first hand we'll go over today, we have Ace-King offsuit on the button, and there's an under-the-gun straddle. The big stack in early position opens up the action to $21. It folds to me here on the button. Pretty good, nice opportunity to play against this big stack. We 3-bet to $65, and everyone folds back to him. He decides to make the call for 65. So we're off to a flop, heads up, and we're in position. The flop comes 9 deuce deuce, 2 spades out there. He thinks and actually leads out for $85. This is a pretty weird spot. On the button, I guess my 3-betting range can be a little bit wider, but maybe he's just trying to do this to I guess, protect his hand with like middling pairs, pocket 10s, and jacks, hands of that nature. But just thought it was a weird spot. Obviously, I can't really call this $85, and I think raising is a little suicidal. So go ahead and just fold first hand of the day. Next hand, we have Ace-Queen offsuit in the cutoff here, playing 7-handed. On the gun player, the big stack that I joined the table for, he opens up the action to $12. The player to my right, the hijack, makes the call, and with Ace-Queen off in position, let's go ahead and 3-bet this once again. We 3-bet to $50. The on the gun player makes the fold, and the player to my right actually calls, interestingly. So we're off to a flop. The flop comes 10-8-4, 2 diamonds and a heart out there. He checks to me. He's a pretty short stack, and I'm just going to try and c-bet and take it down. With Ace-Queen off, we're just going to c-bet, maybe try to improve if he calls, but definitely decent candidate to c-bet here and blow him off the pot. I bet $45, and without thinking too long, he actually raises me. Check raises me pretty small, though, to $100. I really can't do a whole lot. He's fairly short, doesn't have a whole lot behind, and calling here is kind of stupid, so can't do much but fold. So right off the bat, within 15-20 minutes, we are in the game for $500. Within the same orbit, or I guess a few hands later, I have Ace-King offsuit in the big blind, and there are 3 limpers to me. I've raised it up a bunch here early on. It's only 20 minutes into the session. So here, Ace-King offsuit out of position. I raised to $20, and only the button and small blind make the call. So we're off to a flop. The flop comes Ace-Ace-3 rainbow, and action checks to me. Here, basically like nutted in this board, like for sure nutted. I just check for deception and maybe let someone else take a stab at it. Action checks all the way around though. The turn is a deuce, and the small blind checks once again. Here, just gonna have to bet, obviously. I've been super aggressive, and I don't need to have an ace in my hand here, especially after I checked on the flop. So I bet $30, pretty standard half pot bet, and we get a non-believer, a small blind, makes the call. We're off to a river, which is a queen of spades. Not really a great card, but definitely, doesn't really change a whole lot. He checks once again, and I decide to fire a larger sizing, just trying to polarize myself here. I've been shown to be super aggressive early on so far, so maybe I can get a loose call, but I mean, most of his hands are going to fold anyways, unless he has an ace. So go for a fairly bigger sizing of $125. He tosses in a call pretty quickly, like surprisingly quickly. Expecting to be good here all the time. I show Ace-King, and he mucks. So I don't know if I could have gotten any more value, but a bigger sizing like 125 I'm happy with, and we're finally in the black. Following hand, we have Ace-10 of spades in early position. A tilted under the gun player limps. I'm going to raise over this limper to $15, and we get 2 callers in the small blind and the under the gun player. So found ourselves in position. So we're going to go to a flop 3 ways. The flop comes 10, 9, 6, 2 clubs. So flopping top on a fairly connected board here. Tons of draws available. So when it checks to me, going to be c-betting a little bit larger, $35. We get 1 caller on the gun player who's been a little tilted, so his range can be fairly wide, but top pair, we're feeling pretty confident that we're ahead. The turn is the 7 of clubs, and he checks to me. Probably one of the worst cards that I could ask for here. 4-line into a straight for any 8. Also, the obvious club draw gets there. So obviously not going to be betting, just going to check it back and get to showdown. The river comes the king of clubs, 4 clubs out there, and once again, he checks. Just going to check it back. Pretty gross. Don't have a club in my hand, and I don't really feel like turning my hand into a bluff with a pair of 10s. So I check it back, and he shows king jack offsuit and doesn't have a club out there. So he rivers top pair and takes down the pot. I can't tell you what in the world he was calling for on the flop. He was calling with 2 overs and a gutter ball. But I mean, that's what happened. Next thing we'll go over, this is later on a little bit into the session. We have 8-9 of hearts under the gun, and we're playing 7-handed. I open it up to $15 with my suited connector. A late position player makes the call, actions onto the big blind, and he 3-bets to $55. My description of this big blind player, it's my direct right. He is a very aggressive reg and plays on a fairly high variance play style. So I think that he's just a lot better than me. He's a lot more dynamic than me. And also, most importantly, he's a lot more aggressive than me. So I don't really run into a whole lot of more aggressive players than myself, but this is one of the few players. So here, given the fact that we are fairly deep, he covers me, so playing almost 200 bigs effective. I'm going to make the call for $55 in position here. Can't be folding just yet to this player, given that he has a fairly wide 3-betting range. And the limper folds, so we're off to a flop heads up. Flop comes Jack 8-6, 2 hearts out there. So middle pair, bunch of backdoors, and obviously the flush draw as well. He elects to down bet to $40 on this flop here, and I could go both ways. I think there's absolutely merit to raising in this spot, given that I have so much equity with middle pair. Even middle pair could be good sometimes, but middle pair, got the flush draw, got a couple backdoor straight draws in there as well. It's a board that absolutely smashes my hand. But going for the lower variance route just right now, we go ahead and just flat and call this $40. We're off to a turn, which is the 5 of clubs. Doesn't change a whole lot. Doesn't improve us in terms of straight outs. So he actually ends up checking to me. The very interesting line, I think. It kind of balances his range, I think, considering that we've played against each other a good amount. And well, when he checks to me, I'm going to have to bet here. He can definitely have a lot of hands like ace queen, ace king, ace 10, but sometimes could be balancing with a strong checking hand like pocket queens with the queen of hearts or something like that. Regardless, I go ahead and bet, but I bet a very small amount, just trying to get some value with a bunch of overcards. So I bet a small sizing of $75, and he makes the call for 75. So we're off to a river, hoping to improve, or maybe we think our pair of 8s is good for the time being. The river is the 5 of hearts, so the board pairs, and we improve to the flush. Now we think that we're really good here. Can't really put him on a bunch of boats. And once again, he checks to me. Obviously, going have to bet for value, and the sizing in the hands that I can get value from are very interesting. I don't think I can get a whole lot of value, and I think that the only way I get value is that if I'm wrong on the turn there, that I am behind. So if I was somehow behind on the turn, then I only get hands from over pairs, maybe a pair of jacks or something like that. So I go ahead and throw out a middling sizing bet of $150. He doesn't look happy about it when I throw out this bet, and thinks for a little bit, thinks for a while, and ends up making the call for $150. I show my 9-high flush, and we are good. So we take it down. Next hand, we have pocket 10s in early position, pretty deep stacked at this point, and we're playing 7-handed. An under the gun player limps, and here going to raise it up to $15. We get 3 whole callers until it's back on the under the gun player, who puts in the good old classic limp raise to 75. Action onto me at this point, and I go into the tank. He only has about $150 behind, and do I think that he's doing this with ace king, ace queen? He has been super tilted and seemed very frustrated, but the thing is that he is an older gentleman, and I just don't think that he would be doing this with a loose or wide variety of hands squeezing in this spot. I don't think this is ever a squeeze. I think this is always for value, and the fact that, I mean, he was tilted means that it could be a little bit wider, but given the player profile and just his personality that I've witnessed at the table, I don't think that he's doing this with ace king. So at the end of the day, as much as I could 4-bet shove here, I think that's a little suicidal because I could run into the top of his range a ton. I go ahead and end up making the fold, and everyone else folds around, and he doesn't look too happy about it, but ends up showing pocket queens. So we got away from that one, only lost $15, and I really liked my fold, which is why I had to put this one in there. Handed for that is a little bit later into the night now, and we've been playing for quite a bit. We have pocket sevens in the small blind, an early position player limps, and a really big stack in middle position with about 2,000 in front, which is pretty huge for 1-3, raises it up to $12. I go ahead and make the call, and the early position player calls as well. So we're off to a flop 3 ways. We're out of position. The flop comes 8-3-3 rainbow. So pocket sevens, not a terrible flop at all. Action checks to the middle position player, who continues and fires a bet of $20. Here, obviously, we are never getting away just yet. We decide to make the call for 20, and the early position player folds. Let's go to a turn. The turn is the ace of hearts, brings in a backdoor flush draw, and once again, I check. Not a card that I love. He throws out a bet of $55 now, and this is really the turning point of this hand, I think, given what has happened so far. When he bets his $55, I think a lot of eights can be eliminated from his range, and really he's repping a bunch of ace-high hands. But the thing about that is I'm not really putting him on a bunch of ace-high hands, because throughout the entire night for the past couple hours, his pre-flop raises and opening sizings have been around $15, and this is the first time I've seen him raise to $12. So using sizing is a little bit of a tell here to kind of signify the range and the strength of his hand. Definitely not a whole lot of ace highs in there, and also considering the fact that he's very competent, I don't think he's raising a bunch of ace rags in his opening range as well. So can eliminate a bunch of ace X's from his hand, and obviously a bunch of eights, because eights would just be pot controlling and checking back on this turn. So here, not really believing him right now. I go ahead and make the call, thinking that he's probably on some sort of a draw. So let's go to a river. I make the call 55, and we go to a river, which is the king of hearts. Really not a good card at all. I don't have a single heart in my hand, and a bunch of overs get there, and the flush draw gets there, and I check, and once again, he fires again for $125. Now I really go deep into the tank. Like going back to my turn decision point there, I called the 55 because I didn't think he had an ace. And when I call that $55, it's really a bunch of draws, I think, that I beat. Here, with the obvious flush draw getting there, it's really interesting, because I think now he's either got a flush or he's got absolutely nothing. So it's a little bit of a toss-up, 50-50, I think. At the end of the day, given the betting pattern and given his previous hands that he's played so far showing a few bluffs, this could definitely be one of them to try and triple barrel me off this hand. I tank for maybe a minute or two, which is a pretty long time. I don't really usually take that long to think and act, but at the end of the day, I ended up just making the call, hoping I'm good. He says that he missed, and he had 9-10 of diamonds, so we show our pocket sevens and take it down. We get through the 3 streets of bluffing, and I'm pretty happy with my call here. We go deep into the night now. It is 4 o'clock in the morning, a couple hours after I started the session at around 10 o'clock, so we're deep in there. We have ace-5 of hearts under the gun, and I decide to just open limp here. We're playing short. We're playing short-handed. I'm a little bit deep. Let's just try to go for value. So it becomes a 5-way limped pot. So we're going to go 5 ways to a flop, and the flop is pretty awesome for us. It's ace-queen-4, 2 hearts out there. The small blind player leads for $8, and in my description, he is a crazy, he is a maniac. I guess you can call him a VIP according to Ben Deitch's standards here. He has been playing 100% of the hands, 100% VPIP, 100% call happy, whatever. He's good for action. So here, perfect flop to get my stack in there with him. I go ahead and raise it up to $30, and obviously when it folds all the way around to him, I don't expect him to be folding ever. There's 0% chance of him folding, so he makes the call, and we're off to a turn. The turn is the 7 of clubs, and he once again leads for $50. This point, he's pretty short. He only got $52 behind, and I'm very comfortable with getting it in with top pair because he can literally have an infinite range. So I go and jam it all in, $102 effective, and he makes the call for $52 more. So we're off to a river. If we improve to hearts, that'd be cool too. The river is the king of spades, so hearts brick out. We have top pair, no kicker. We show our pair of aces, and he mucks. So we take it down and stack him there. This next hand is, I'm just not going to explain anything. It's the next hand, and we're going to go over it, and you guys will decide and tell me in the comments below what you guys think about this hand. All right, so let's get into it. We have King 10 offsuit in the button. It's about 5 a.m. at this point, so pretty late, and I got about $1,000 effective. There's 2 limpers to me, and I'm here on the button in position with a very marginal hand. I just know that one of the early limpers is the same player from last hand, 100% call percentage. So he's never folding. So for those reasons, I raise it up bigger to $25. Let's try to ISO anyone else trying to get into the pot and just play against this person. So raise to 25. The small blind tank calls pre-flop, very interesting. And the individual that I'm trying to get in with, he limp 3 bets to $50. I don't know what this is. I haven't seen him do this before. He could have a strong hand, but he could have nothing. I'm not entirely sure, but for $25 more, myself and the small blind make the call. We're off to a flop in position. Flop comes Queen 9-6 rainbow, and action checks to me. Not really going to do anything here. I'm just going to play it very straightforward and standard, play for value. Not really sure what that small blind player's range is, and I have no idea what the Maniac's range is either. So we're going to go to a turn, get to see a free card. The turn is almost beautiful. It's the Jack of Diamonds. We get there with the nuts straight right now, hitting our gutter ball. That's awesome, and also brings in a backdoor flush draw. So the small blind checks, and the middle position, early position player that raised their 3 bets, he bets $100, and this is just an absolute dream spot for us. Betting $100, he's committing himself to this pot, and I know that I can raise comfortably, not only because I have the nuts, but also because he'll call. So exactly what I do, I raise it up on a little bit bigger. I raise to 350, 3.5 Xing his bets. The small blind tanks now for a long time, and I'm not sure what's happening when he's tanking, but he ends up making the fold, and the crazy individual decides to call. So yeah, we're in. We got the nuts. Let's try to hold and get some more value. He only has about $70 behind in his stack, so let's try to hold and see what happens. The river is a 9, so the board is paired, and it's not really the most ideal card in the world, but he's first to act, and, well, we're not really too concerned because he flips over his cards when he checks. I don't know what's going on here. He just randomly flipped his cards over because he thought that I went to showdown, but obviously he's out of position first to act, and I haven't done anything yet. He shows over Jack 4 of hearts with second pair, I guess. That's all he got. He got second pair. And here, very straightforward. Because it was so late into the night, I was very confused. I thought I was reading the cards wrong, but no, it's confirmed. Jack 4 of hearts. So I go ahead, put them all in. $70 more. Let's try to get some more value, I guess. Let's get max value. He goes ahead and makes the call with a pair of jacks, and I show my hand, and we're good. So we win a really big pot there, and that's how we end the night, winning that really big pot against a pair of jacks. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. This player wasn't drinking at all, actually, to everyone's surprise. Just saying, wasn't drinking at all. Just was there to have a good time and there for gambling, and I'm here for it. This is the face, or the look on the face of someone who played for just a little too long. It is 5 a.m. I have never seen this freaking garage so goddamn empty. Sorry, Ron. Wow. So today a lot happened. This was a continuation from the last video. Right now it's 5 a.m. like I said, so it's crazy, but continuation from the last video. So I played the tournament earlier, and then I busted the tournament pretty early and hopped into a cash game, and some stuff happened. I stayed a little bit later than I wanted to, and then when you stay a little bit too late, then you can't leave because the action is too good, and we ran it up, and we ran it up hot. Ran it up really well at the end there. As you can see, we had a very good action player at the table. The tables were freaking phenomenal. Like, I can't stress this enough. If you play 1-3 and you're going to play, these times are ridiculous. Anytime after midnight, the games turn into deep stacked 1-3, so it's basically 2-5, and then when it's 2-5 and everyone's just either drunk or just wanting some action, it's absolutely crazy. So that's what happened. We ran it up, we ran hot and got value. And we did it. The title says it all for itself, guys. I'm gonna put some graphics on the screen. Thanks for following along. I'll say the numbers when I'm actually in my car because, you know, but we did it. If you look at the title, obviously, there's some graphics up there for you. I think I already said that. But Bankroll Challenge is complete, guys. Absolutely insane. Today's session was freaking crazy. We played for a little bit over 6 hours. I was in the game for 500, out of the game for 1680, something like that, 16, something like that. So, yeah, a profit. We only needed about $700-800 to get to 10K, and we did. So thank you guys for following along. It has been a long freaking journey, and there's no better way to end it off than having a session like this, where, I mean, just super degenerate style, you know? It's freaking 5 a.m. on a Friday morning. So, there it is. Thank you guys for following along. I'm going to play, like I said from the very beginning, I'm going to play a 5-10 session. It won't be the next video. There's no way I'm gonna play 5-10 tomorrow because I'm going to be playing tomorrow. Just not mentally prepared yet, and gotta figure out where exactly I wanna play too. So I will do that coming up shortly. I wanna do it immediately, but I won't because I want to, if I'm gonna play 5-10, I need to be ready for it. So I'll do it very shortly though. Probably like real time, probably next week, and probably in the video wise, 1 or 2 videos down the line, I'm definitely going to do that. So be on the lookout for that. I'm so fucking excited. I'm gonna be freaking out, guys. When I play 5-10, I'm gonna freak out. So anyways, this is it. This was the video. We did it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you stuck around this long, definitely leave a like on this video. Also, I totally almost forgot. Shout out to my boy Tyler. He watches the vlogs and deals at Encore, so you're a beast. Sorry I didn't get to play with you. I just had to get out of there. It was really unfortunate. Stacked that guy, and we're out. It's 5 a.m. Time to go home. Time to get some sleep. So I'm rounding up this vlog now. Going back home. Let's get it. Be on the lookout for the next 5-10 video, and let's freaking go! Oh my god. That's awesome. Peace.